agricultural civilization, and the Aryan language family. By the way, this includes many people that do not have blue eyes, but carry the gene for blue eyes recessively. Live Science recently published an article titled Blue-Eyed Immigrants Transformed Ancient Israel 6,500 Years Ago. The article goes on to say that, quote, thousands of years ago, in what is now northern Israel, waves of migrating people from the north and east, present-day Iran and Turkey, arrived in the region. And this influx of newcomers had a profound effect, transforming the Persian culture. What's more, these immigrants not only brought new cultural practices, they also introduced new genes, such as the ones that produce blue eyes, that were previously unknown in that geographic area, according to a new study. Archaeologists recently discovered this historic population shift by analyzing DNA from skeletons preserved in an Israeli cave. The site, in the north of the tiny country, contains dozens of burials and more than 600 bodies dating to approximately 6,500 years ago, the scientists reported. DNA analysis showed that the skeletons preserved in the cave were genetically distinct from people who historically lived in that region, and some of the genetic differences matched those of people who lived in neighboring Anatolia and the Zagros Mountains, which are now part of Turkey and Iran, the study found. So what we have is a match between biblical stories about a tribe in the Caucasus Mountains, specifically Mount Ararat, where Noah settled, that saved domesticated animals using agriculture, and spreading out and disseminating agricultural civilization, horses, cattle, and Aryan languages to Europe and Asia, leaving behind a blue-eyed statue that also matches genetic sequencing in terms of blue eyes, as well as matching fossil record in terms of mummies in modern Israel dating back 6,500 years, 4,000-year-old blonde mummies in China with the same DNA, also matching mummies of the Egyptian pharaohs, same phenotype. So there's absolutely no discrepancy between myth and legend of tall blue-eyed Aryans, properly interpreted biblical accounts, or the genetic or fossil record. In Wikipedia, the stature of the Scythians is recorded as follows, quote, anthropological data shows the Scythians were tall and powerfully built, even by modern standards. This was particularly the case for the warrior and noblemen, who were often more than 6 feet tall. Sometimes they exceeded 6'3" in height, and males exceeding 6'6" have been uncovered. The ordinary people whom they dominated were much smaller stature, averaging 4 to 6 inches below them in height. The skeletons of Scythian nobles differ from those of today that were longer arms and leg bones and stronger bone formation. This physical characteristics of Iranian origin. The Scythians also
We might have a possible disturbance.
the most
I'm
famous
moving to
Scythian mummy
investigate. We'll
is
keep
known
you
as the
posted.
Ice Princess, discovered in an undisturbed tomb in the 5th century BC. A common type of tattoo being griffin, a legendary creature with the body, tail, and back legs of a lion, and the head and wings of an eagle. In regards to what Scythians say about their origins, Herodotus says that, quote, the Scythians' legend about themselves, which portrays the first Scythian king, Targetus, as a child of the sky god and of a daughter of Omegle. Targetus allegedly lived 1,000 years before the failed Persian invasion of Scythia, around 1500 BC.
What?
He had 3 sons, one of whom fell from the sky,
Man,
a set of 4
heard something
golden
weird.
a plow, a yoke, a cup, and a battle axe. Only the youngest son succeeded in touching the golden implements without them bursting with fire. And this son's descendants, called by Herodotus the royal Scythians, continued to guard them. another legend, as told by Herodotus, Paul Scythian, a direct descendant of Hercules, who had three sons from a mythical beast whose lower part was snake-like and whose upper part was one of a hermaphrodite.
Wow.
The word hermaphrodite is a combination of the words
What the heck was that?
Hermes and Aphrodite, and has occult interpretations that I've covered in previous videos. The lower serpentine body is similar to the legend of Melusine, which is the goddess used by Starbucks in their logo, which I also covered in a prior episode, and will leave a link to in the description. In 2017, another genetic study of the Scythians suggested that the Scythians were related to the Yama culture, also known as the Ochre Grave culture, dating to the Bronze Age around 3300 BC, which derives from its characteristic burial tradition with red ochre. The pits were called Yama. So, as you can see, this area is bordering the north of the Caucasus Mountains, where Mount Ararat is located, and where we find the story of Noah and his three sons, which of course is part of the Hebrew Bible, or Old Testament. And it's interesting that, according to Herodotus, the Scythians did not eat pork, and banned all swine from their territory. That said, let's look at some other names that are attributed to the Scythians. The Encyclopedia Britannica states the term Saka and Scyths were regarded as synonymous. Herodotus wrote that the Persians call all the Scythians.
Don't forget, the secret of endurance racing is to keep that car going until the end. This race is not over until the clock ticks down.
Making the Scythian fathers the patriarch Isaac.
Thanks.
The Bible
How much time?
Abraham and his wife Sarah, the first Israelites into the land of Egypt. I can't go into detail regarding the lost tribe census, as that will require several videos to properly cover. But I will say that archaeologically speaking, there is an ancient city in modern Israel,
I heard him
just
mumbling
north of
something about
Jerusalem.
what's going on, but someone or something didn't want her. Yeah, we're calling security,
Brings us
all
to
right.
another name Scythian.
We need to secure the area. I need you to get as far away as possible. For your own
Let
safety.
me remind you that this is different
Understood.
from Grand Prix in that it's all about which team can go the distance. Fuel efficiency and reliability. That's the key
The language is Yiddish.
of the game.
which
This is
a form
where
of High
you
German,
see the car technology of tomorrow.
High German, which is where Swabia, Neuschwaben, is named after. In the 19th century, German
Must have been a cat or something. Really loud cat.
Now the key here is
deriving the name of the Asir from Ashkenaz. The Asir are the gods of the principal pantheon in Norse religion, including Odin and Thor.
Absolutely. Every year, she waltzes into the bar high on her
Sir, this is a restricted area. You're gonna have to move away. Keep going. That's right. Paying attention's good for your health.
Genitive, European, later East Asian. In other words,
I hate to be a bother, but I've got my orders. Can't let you pass through here. Thanks.
Hypatus mentioned by Paul, ancestor of Hellenic, named after Helen of Troy, whose bloodline was considered sacred, which I recently covered in the video about Mary and skull symbology. In the 7th century, Isidore of Seville, who is often regarded as the last scholar of the ancient world, published his noted history, in which he traces the origins of most of the nations of Europe back to Japhet. In Scotland, histories tracing the Scottish people from Japhet were also widely published. I have another video linked in the description about how Scotland got its name. Princess Scota, ancestor of the Gaels, is also known as Meritati, daughter of King Akhenaten and Queen Nefertiti, and sister of King Tut, who were all part of the Hyksos dynasty of Egypt.
Don't forget, this race is all about getting some miles under the hood. It's as much about the car's stamina and technology as it is about the driver's talent.
Meaning the belief in the sun, which in this case is symbolized by the sun. Joseph is called the Shepherd King.
I still can't believe it. It's just so mean. This is total exploitation of people who want to enjoy.
Look at these. Don't forget.
Who are blonde and red-haired.
The secret of endurance racing. Future. Oh my God! See the grip on these babies?
Someone help me deal with this asshole.
Straight up the clock.
Also predominantly fair-haired. And as long as tradition
Hey.
and traced back to Jah, he's usually regarded as the ancestor of the Gog-Magog tribe, and at times of the Turks, Khazars, Illyrians, Dacians, and Eastern Europeans around the
Don't forget, this.
That said, many of the last Scythians were absorbed into what today are called Slavic. Were also fair-haired with light eyes. The Polish can also claim descent from the ancient Iranian Sarmatians, part of the wider Scythian cultures, making up
For newcomers to endurance racing, let me remind you that this is different from Grand Prix in that it's all about which team can go the distance. Fuel efficiency and reliability. That's the name of the game.
why Russia, pre-communist times, boldly bears the symbol prominently. As I stated before, the communist itself is hereditary.
The nerve of that ticket tout. I mean, only the rich can afford his price.
Well, the anticipation here is
Compares it to a map of the
just
Khazarian
so high. This is the place to be. The best track you'll ever see.
isn't this
The best
yours?
group of drivers. Don't forget, the secret of endurance racing. And how about that
keep
crowd
that car
going awesome
until
day of racing here in Miami. This race is not over until the clock ticks down.
German sect is settled title a century before Israel's independence, which today is largely populated by Germanic Ashkenazi people, whose ancestors arrived on nationalist socialist ships from 1933 to 1939 in a secret agreement that is historically factual, even if no longer publicized.
I was in 1933 to 1936, and we saw 3 weeks transports of German Jews.
You see him?
German Jewish settlement of Palestine was, for a time, official Nazi policy. These photos of Jewish life in Palestine, along with a lengthy text, appeared in 1934 in the Berlin paper Der Angriff. An Palestine.
What? Are you mad?
By Herald Corporation. One side is swastika, on the other, the Star of David.
These same Indo-European Aryans, who were the Hyksos pharaohs, were not only linked to Phoenician, which means red, but were also the Knights Templar, people who conducted the Crusades, which were a series of wars by Europeans to recover the Holy Land from Muslims in the 11th.
Don't forget, the secret of endurance racing is
Carved stone
that
numbers
car
of rock and all
to the
the
end. This race is not over until the
Star of David or Stele Solomon, simply because it has also been suggested by many authors, such as Sigmund Freud, in his book Moses and Monotheism, that Moses was actually born into an Egyptian household rather than being born as a slave and merely raised in the Egyptian royal household, and was himself royalty, with many others also concluding that the noble bloodlines of the biblical Israelites were synonymous with the Hyksos pharaohs, both associated with serpent symbolism, which ties into the legend of Saint Patrick, who drove the snakes out of Ireland, since Ireland never had snakes during the entire Holocene, and before that was covered by a mile of ice. So it's clear the snakes represented pagans, which is another way of saying Druids. The Druids were the Scythian royalty.
For newcomers to endurance racing, let me remind you that this is different from Grand Prix in that it's all about which team can go the distance. This is where you see the car technology of tomorrow.
Which translates into dragon, who incidentally Prince Charles claims he's genetically related to. As for the Druids, their kings were called Pendragons, as they were in the Middle East, and can be traced back to Anatolia, where they were also the Proto-Sumerian ancestors venerated by the Germanic secret societies, such as the Vril and Thule Society, and who also left mummified remains in China known as the Tocharians, near massive pyramids in China, which are either ignored or purposely hidden by the communist Chinese government, who know the truth of where their first emperors, swastikas, and dragon symbolism really stems from, not to mention Buddhism itself. This royal bloodline was also known as fairy royalty. So not only were the Druids or Dragon Kings Scythians.
Let me just repeat some ground rules for those of you new to endurance racing. You gotta cover as much ground as possible within the time frame. When the time's up, we have our winner.
As well as the Getai, meaning goat in Swedish, which were also the Thracian tribes that once inhabited the region to either side of the lower Danube.
For newcomers to endurance racing, let me remind you that this is different from Grand Prix in that it's all about which team can go the distance. Fuel efficiency and reliability, that's the name of the game. This is where you see car technology of tomorrow.
Now let's look at a quote by Lawrence Gardner from his book, Realm of the Ring Lords, The Myth and Magic of the Grail Quest. Quote, the Tooth of the Danube, or the Black Sea Princess of Scythia. Like the original dynastic pharaohs, they trace their descent from the great Pendragons of Mesopotamia. From them sprang the kingly line.
Let me just repeat some ground rules for those of you new to endurance racing. You gotta cover as much ground as possible within the time frame. When the time's up, we have our winner.
So from a single cast of the original Blood Royale, whether known as the Sangreal, the Albigans, or the Ring Lords, we discover many of the descriptive terms which sit at the very heart of popular folklore. For here, in this one noble race, we have the elves, fairies, and pixies, not beguiling little folk, but distinguished kings.
Don't forget, the secret of endurance racing is to keep that car going until the end. This race is not over until the clock ticks down.
We're not historians or anthropologists, but globalists with a political agenda. The swastika symbol and star known as the Seal of Solomon or David are found side by side in antiquity, such as the archaeological ruins of the Temple of Jupiter in the Phoenician city of Baalbek, which incidentally, Japhet is where we get the modern English spelling for Jupiter, who in Christianity is Saint Peter. Serpent culture stretching from Ireland to India, and even deeper to the Far East, Asia and Japan, but that'll be left for another time when I find some ancient Aryan presence of it, which is not really new at all. Entire history, as taught in modern academia, corrupted and falsified, as America was not named after Amerigo Vespucci, but after Amara, an Incan word which is literally translated into land of the plumed serpent.
Let me just repeat some ground rules for those of you new to endurance racing. You gotta cover as much ground as possible within the time frame. When the time's up, we have our winner.
Available on Amazon. My books make a great gift. If you'd like to support my work, Patreon.com.
Anything can still happen.
Hey, excuse me, you dropped something.
His prices. It's insane! I've been looking forward
Look
to
at
this
these
since
beautiful cars. These cars are
Below. Have a wonderful
the
weekend.
future of motorsports. You see the grip on these babies? It's just so strong. A member could drive straight up. Endurance racing is all about getting your car to cover as many miles as possible, no matter how burned out or beat up you may be.
It looks like it might rain today, so I'm just gonna feed my friends here and cut this intro short. Today's episode will be a continuation about the Scythians, their ancient glory, and the influence of their language on history, which continues until this day.
What?
Well, what I heard is that Moses Lee is planning to the press this year.
The Merovingian dynasty in the middle of the 5th century until 751. their royal blood
To see something special, and the drivers are not gonna let them down. This could go down to the wire.
sources. But along with other tribes that I mentioned in my last video, stem from Scythian or Aryans have penetrated into Europe and Anatolia. If you haven't seen it yet, I'll leave a link in the description. It's called History of the Royal Dragon.
This poor soul looks like it could use some help.
Which comes down to a
Let me just
legend of
repeat
the
some
raised
ground
dragon
rules for
in
those of you
European
new to endurance racing. You gotta cover as much ground as possible within the time.
Old French dragon, directly from Latin, dragon, huge serpent, and from Greek drakon, meaning serpent, giant, sea fish. But then it also says it stems from Dirkus stone, to see clearly, and from Proto-Indo-European dirk, to see. In Sanskrit, visible. In Old Irish, I have seen. Old English and Old High German, light, clear. And Albanian, which linguistically is very close to the original Proto-Indo-European and means light. Then it goes on to say, perhaps in the literal sense, it's the one with the deadly glands. That's interesting, and conjures up the ancient symbol that is most commonly referred to as the evil eye, which is famous all over the Mediterranean since ancient times, spanning much of what has once been the Phoenician Empire, colonies, and trade routes. In Hebrew,
Don't forget, this race is all about getting some miles under the hood. It's as much about the car's stamina and technology as it is about the driver's talent.
It's just so mean. This is total
Let
exploitation
me
of
just
people who
repeat some
want to
ground
enjoy
rules for those of you new to endurance racing.
Carefully listed technologies.
Gotta cover as much ground as possible within the time frame. When the time's up, we have our winner.
Although the right of Muslim authority was nonetheless said by historians, Priscus was inspired by a king sea creature, Bisti Neptunus, the Cimbrian cranes, from whose female line the Merovingians emerged, were associated with Grecian Arcadia before migrating to the Rhine. As we've seen, they call themselves the Nuge, Hebrew Republic, just as the steam and Umar had once been.
Yeah, I got us.
It was Arcadian race that was responsible for the mysterious
Hey,
symbolically defined ancestry. The Roman Sea Lord was King Power.
The Chinese have a case for missing.
Arcadia.
Oh, bollocks!
The Roman Sea Lord was said to be reincarnate in the dynasty of ancient kings, whose symbol was a fish, as was the traditional symbol of Jesus. This sea
it's
creature
a test of
represents
nerves going into that
God of
corner.
the sea,
Who backs down first? Oh, wait! Was there a touch? Or even a slight collision going into that corner? Oh, the steward's gonna have to
which God judged in
take a
Genesis.
close look at this one.
It
Mr.
describes
Durant,
the marriage
I'm
of
gonna have
the Son of God. Quote, it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, and that they were fair, and they took them wives, all which they chose. The Lord said, my spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years. There were giants in the earth in those days. Also after that, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them, the same became mighty men, which were of old, men of renown. It implies that the serpent seed continues after the deluge through Noah's Caucasian descendants, with the serpent being perceived in different ways, depending on the civilization, as even Jesus is said to have referred to serpents as wise. The legend of King Merovi seems to conceal the true origins of the Merovingian race in remote antiquity. Merovius derives from the French words mer, meaning sea, and ver, meaning werewolf or dragon. The book of Revelation informs us that the dragon is the devil and Satan, yet the Hebrew word Satan means an adversary or one who resists.
Attention Sierra Knox. Your vitamin and rehydration session has been delayed. More information will follow.
This helps to explain the esoteric allusion to the Merovingians' progenitor, King Merlin.
How much time remaining? Don't worry, folks. Anything can still happen.
The Merovingian dynasty is of literally satanic descent. In the book Holy Blood, Holy Grail, the authors tell us, quote, there are at least a dozen families in Britain and Europe today with numerous collateral branches of our Merovingian lineage. These include the House of Habsburg, Lorraine, Tyrant,
Remember,
Luxembourg,
folks, that endurance
Montague,
racing is all
various
about
others.
getting your car to cover as many miles as possible, no matter how
Holy
burnt
fuck!
out or beat up
Also
it may
allied
be.
to the bloodline, as are various branches
Please
of the
help me!
Stuarts.
What?
Many of its doctrines, the Scion asserts that the new king, in accordance with the Merovingian tradition,
Hey, you should be doing your job.
in other words,
Hey,
it would be a
somebody-
priest king who functions primarily in a ritual and symbolic capacity, and the actual business of governing would be handled by someone else, conceivably by the priory to Sion. After the Merovingian dynasty was deposed by the Roman Church in 800 AD, their bloodline was preserved by the imperial and royal
Don't
government
forget the secret of endurance
aspired
racing.
to gain control of the Holy Roman Empire through infiltration of church and state. Their insignia was the dragon in the form of a circle and a red cross, the rosy cross of the Priory de Sion, the Knights Templar, and the Rosicrucians. King Sigismund of Luxembourg was king of Hungary and Croatia from 1387, king of Germany from 1411, king of Bohemia from 1419, king of Italy from 1431, and Holy Roman Emperor from 1433 till 1437.
For newcomers to endurance racing, let me remind you that this is different from Grand Prix in that it's all about which team can go the distance. Fuel efficiency and reliability.
It was based upon the ancient bloodline tradition that inherited Egyptian and Scythian ancestors.
How much time remaining?
House of Beer.
Don't worry, folks. Anything
The
can
nerve
still
of that
happen.
ticket tout! I mean, only the rich can afford his price.
Dragon. Come down to us and race and
Oh
bear.
my, Moses Lee is just flying out there. Look at those lap times. I guess he's out to show Matthias Schuster. Don't forget, the secret of endurance racing is to keep that car going until the end. This race is not over until the clock ticks
By the
down.
sun, and the
Hey,
Egyptian
this is a
dragon,
restricted area. You're not allowed here.
crocodile god portrayed with a crocodile-headed man,
Excuse me.
the headdress of feathers, and a sun disk, known as Sukos in Greek, associated with pharaonic power, fertility, present in the ancient Egyptian pantheon, the Old Kingdom.
Let me just repeat some.
This Egyptian lineage, incidentally, included the bloodline of the Davidic House of Judah, who married into the Merovingian kings of the Franks. In the book Holy Grail Across the Atlantic, author Michael Bradley said,
For newcomers to endurance racing, let me remind you that this is different from Grand Prix in that it's all about which team can go the distance. Fuel efficiency and reliability.
Hey, wait a
That's the name of the game. This is where
married
anything can still happen.
It's just so mean! This is total exploitation of people who want to enjoy things.
You can just feel the tension in the air. Now this is a good, clean family show. At the end of the day, they'll win it. Remember, please, Sierra Knox, neck and neck, getting your car to cover as many miles as possible, no matter how burned out or beat up it may be.
before 3000 BC. Well, it is just possible that in the Merovingian,
What the hell?
we may have a dynasty of Germanic
Central, you read? I think I heard reports of this troublemaker.
ancient kingly family of the migration. The princedoms of Vir are actually a manifestation of genetic
Jesus!
blood and oil. Established house rising horrible, sacro-regal, Pictish, Scythian Vir in antiquity. The House of Vir is recorded in a single name, unbroken line for over 1,000 years. Consequently, surviving royal dynasties in Europe. The House of Beer are descended in numerous lines from the Merovingian dynasty and consequently share in this ancient Germanic royal blood tradition. Here's Nicholas de Beer in his own words.
Remember, folks, that endurance racing is all about getting your car to cover as many miles as possible, no matter how burned out or beat up it may be.
Everyone is kind to one another. Unless they're
Trevor Jones just wants to put California behind him and get on with it. Stay in the race for as long as possible, and then who knows what might happen. Don't forget that this race is all about getting some miles under the hood. It's as much about the car's technology as it is about the driver's
Now, that means that the word dragon doesn't even mean to actually speak clearly. The idea of kingship, or the word, let's look at the word king. King means to speak clearly.
You're gonna regret that!
So therefore, dragon king is a bit of a tautology, really, because dragon and king are the same thing, or dragon and prince, the first. The symbol of the dragon, for me, represents, firstly, you have a serpentine quality of it, which has always been associated with healing, with the...
Let me just repeat some ground rules for those of you new to endurance racing. You gotta cover as much ground as possible within the time frame. The time's up. We have our... How much time remaining? Don't worry,
The
folks.
nerve of that
Anything can
ticket
still
tower.
happen.
I mean, only the rich can afford his price. I've been looking forward to this day.
Oh, it looks like the tires are just too deep. You see, that's the problem. It comes straight from the pit, and it gets a completely different surface. Don't forget, you start on the concrete turns racing, and the change in car going, it's just amazing. And this race is not over.
Throughout history, but in general, we see the same themes in the myths surrounding these figures. That there's original race that they came
Come in, please. Someone help me. Hey, we got some help here. What's going on?
And that they came to conclusions.
There is a psychopath on the loose. I hear you.
Non-earthly and non-human.
Calling in. Hello. Got a public nuisance on the loose.
Into the origins of anarchy way back nearly 40,000 years now, 10,000 years before the hybridization of humanity, to possibly Kashmir. They seem to be...
Remember, folks, that endurance racing is all about getting your car to cover as many miles as possible, no matter how burned out or beat up it may be.
Sheep
Don't worry, folks. Anything can still happen.
It's just so mean. This is total exploitation of people who want to get
Well, the anticipation here is just so high. For newcomers to endurance racing, let me remind you that this is different from Grand Prix in that it's all about which team can go the distance. Fuel efficiency and reliability. That's the name of the game. This is where you see the car technology
I'm
of
not that
tomorrow.
good dealing with dead people. I could use some assistance here.
You also see the dragon,
Something bad's going down.
the first national flag of China, as well as the flag of Moscow and the Russian Federation, which shows St. George stabbing a dragon with a golden lance. Of course, there's a dragon on the flag of Bhutan, a Buddhist kingdom on the Himalayas' eastern edge, bordered by Tibet, and known for its monasteries, fortresses, and visits by the Ahnenerbe in the 1930s, the ancestral heritage anthropology branch of the German nationalists, who conducted research into ancient Aryan archaeology around the world, finding archaeological evidence in places like Tibet.
Remember, folks, that endurance racing is all about getting your car car to cover as many miles as possible, no matter how burned out or beat up it may be.
Macy, settled, reestablished the nation, spreading out again. God said, these Aryan cars.
The nerve of that ticket tout! I mean, only the rich can afford his prices.
For all you race buffs out there, I can tell you here will again be presented with champagne, the secret of endurance racing. Keep that car going is real champagne from the this race is not over until the clock ticks back to the day.
Serious problem. We need your help. You're on a roll. I mean, I found a dead body.
The true king descended from Scythian royalty and later became the Merovingian dynasty, which eventually converted to Christianity. Even after the conversion to Christianity, the Merovingian rulers, like the patriarchs of the Old Testament, were polygamous, particularly with their own bloodline. This ancient use of polygamy in a royal family.
Remember, folks, that endurance racing is all about getting your car to cover as many miles as possible, no matter how burned out or beat up it may be.
It's the same bloodline in Scotland, also blood, serpent seed.
It's just so mean! This is total exploitation of people.
Oh, you look at that! There's no holding back. For newcomers to endurance racing, let me remind you that this is different from
Got a
Grand
body
Prix,
here.
and it's all about which team can go the distance. Fuel efficiency and reliability. That's the name of the game. This is where you see the car technology.
And excommunicated clergy. The order was restructured into a church, with a hierarchy quite independent of Rome. The Templar Church had abbots, priests, and even bishops. The knights began to train the army of Robert the Bruce in the hit-and-run tactics of warfare established in the Crusades. The Roman Church may have betrayed the Templars, but in Scotland they found something.
Let me just repeat some ground rules.
A sacred royal house and a priest king of the Celtic Church's succession. The King of Scots was installed as a hereditary sovereign Grand Master, and from that time, whichever descending king held that office, he was to be known as Saint Germain. A new order was then formed, called the Elder Brothers of the Rosy Cross, and several of the Rosy Cross knights then sailed to France for a meeting with Pope John XXII at Avignon. Many historians have presumed, therefore, that the Knights Templar must have disbanded in Scotland, but this was not the case. It was simply that Bruce had contrived the secret order to become even more secret. Indeed, the Order of the Knights of the Rosy Cross had been established by Bruce for Templars who had been valiant in Bannock.
For newcomers to endurance racing, let me remind you that this is different from Grand Prix in that it's all about which team can go the distance. Fuel efficiency and reliability. That's the name of the game. This is where you see the car technology.
Ancestors, they
Can't you believe the nerve of that ticket tout? I mean, only the rich can afford
Look at the
his
body.
prices.
Look at how low these cars are. They are virtually on the ground. I mean, the level of technical engineering. Let me just repeat some ground rules for those in some new endurance racing. You gotta cover as much ground as possible within the
Please don't forget to leave a comment below.
When the time's up, we have our winner.
Hey, it's me. I'm hearing suspicious sounds. Who are you again? Hey, you! Answer me when I'm talking to you. No, I ain't buying it.
Medieval Arab traveller and scholar Abd al-Latif al-Baghdadi departed from his hometown of Baghdad.
are not a lot of men around anymore that can honestly say that they did things their way. I don't mean that by necessarily being defiant or rebellious, but in the context of doing what is right, doing the right thing, which oftentimes comes at the expense of personal advancement, financial gain, or public approval and popularity. One such example of someone who stepped forward in an attempt to bring to life what may not be in the best interests of humanity, at great risk to himself, was Phil Schneider.
Don't forget, the secret of endurance racing is to keep that car going until the end. This race is not over until the clock ticks down.
The eventual enslavement. Schneider was
Still happen. It's just so mean. This is total exploitation of people who want to enjoy.
Oh, what a day. Newcomers to the endurance race, huh? Let me remind you, Prettier here in Miami. Yes, sir, the crowd is all about which team can go the distance. Fuel efficiency and reliability, that's the name of the game. This is where you see the car technology of tomorrow.
Facilities in the United States, and that they're all connected by high-speed tram or by regular underground highways. One of the more fascinating aspects of the story is that he discloses that his father was brought over to America from Germany in World War II and given a new identity to work classified project. Well, I must admit that parts of his story are hard to
Whoa! That thing hit.
Operation Get German scientists are entirely plausible. The man in which he died was very suspicious, possibly involved in foul play.
So that's Bruno Diaz. Came in third last year on this track. He'd want to do better this time around.
Mr. Durant, I'm gonna have to ask.
I work for such elusive occupations with Morrison, Backflow Page and Page, Aerospatiale France, and a host of other EG&G and a host of other Los Alamos laboratories and testing. Anyway, my work as a geologist in building underground military bases, some of which are over 2 miles underground, high-speed monorail subway cars, if you might want to call them, that link these bases together. Some of them are capable of riding on a cushion of air about 3/4 of an inch off a rail, better part of Mach 2. Incidentally, I helped work on 13 deep underground military bases. Actual had hands-on experience. Notorious was the one in around the Dulce, the southeastern and southwestern sides of Dulce, New Mexico, in the Los Alamos laboratory regions, where we built some hermetically sealed rooms that were very deep.
Don't forget, the secret of endurance racing is to keep that car going until the end. This race is not over until the clock ticks down.
DUMB stands for Deep Underground Military Base, and for Deep Underground Altitude, for instance, submarine base.
Well, what do you expect? He's a scout.
Don't forget, this race is all about getting some miles under the hood. It's as much about the car's stamina and technology as it is about the driver's talent.
My father was a steamboat captain in Hitler's Navy, and he got captured and taken over. I didn't find this out until about 2 weeks before he died on his deathbed. He kind of told everybody in total shock. I was one of them. But in fact, I didn't believe my father.
I think I heard something.
Delirious.
Might be a false alarm, but I'll check it out.
Come up since. And so, anyway, he was captured, turned over to the Third Army.
Oh, fuck!
U.S. Third Army turned over to the Navy. And he was a master machinist. That's not a journeyman. Master means that they can take a block of metal, make a gun or a watch or some other fine instrument. And he was a master machinist. He later became an MD doctor.
Look at Durant, I'm gonna have to ask.
The United States Navy was instrumental in helping build the USS Nautilus and the first nuclear predecessor, the Enterprise, the first nuclear-powered aircraft carrier, and other ships like it. Pioneered all the ways and built very small and miniature nuclear engines, and he even helped work with later on in his life. He helped develop the infamous grid bed nuclear motor, which is now employed in some things that look like flying saucers that people claim are flying saucers. Yes, we, in quote, the United States Air Force and other armed forces, are training other European forces to fly unidentified or now identified or, in quote,
don't forget, this race is all about getting some miles under the hood. It's as much about the car's stamina and technology as it is about the driver's talent.
My position as a geologist and engineer got me to see a lot of things.
Just everyone is kind to one another. Unless they're kind.
Let me just repeat some ground rules for those who are new to endurance racing. You gotta cover as much ground as possible within
civilians, maybe a couple of hundred military men worldwide. I thought I was doing the nation,
don't forget
the States, as well as the world a favor by I thought I was kind of keeping my end up. Well, it didn't work out that way. By the way, I'm still a geologist, still do geological survey work. However, I don't work for the government.
Let me just repeat some ground rules for those of you new to endurance. You gotta cover as much ground as possible within the time. When the time's up, we have our winner.
I found out that the number of these 131 deep underground military bases being used to work.
The nerve of that ticket tap. I mean, only the rich can afford his.
Now, the key here is tire management. I mean, if you're not careful, don't forget the tire endurance and laps is to keep that car going at that facility, and he's driving. This race is not over until the clock ticks down.
Why don't you try that gambling machine?
Yes, they are.
Wait,
The Kelvinians are these tunnels connected to large caverns. Yes, these large bases are basically like this Coliseum. Everything's underground. Everything's a city underground.
Some ground rules for those of you new to endurance.
Most of these
you gotta cover as much ground as possible within the time. When the time's up, we have our winner.
Each one of these costs quite a bundle of dough. And some of it is our tax money, but most of it is clandestine approach, and that's definitely undermining the country.
It's just so mean. This is total exploitation.
Look at that. It's a test of nerves going into that corner. Who backs down first? Oh, wait. Was there a touch? Remember to slice the lid going into that corner? It's all about getting the car to cover as many miles as possible, no matter how burned out or beat up it may be.
Sinister plot has been a group of sinister plots to produce biological weaponry to reduce or thin out the so-called ethnic cleanse the population of the planet. It might be where these new designer diseases like AIDS and Ebola,
calling in. Heard something.
Moving in.
Hey.
And these diseases, in quote, almost have a mind of their own.
Pissed off about some trashy television.
Initially documented suicide. His wife confessed that. Never do that.
Oh my, Moses Lee is just flying out there. look at those lap times. Guess he's out to show Matthias Schuster who's number
Mr.
one.
Durant, I'm gonna have...
which are considered my favorite parts that
How are we doing here?
does lend credibility to there's some other testimony with people that have similar accounts of secret projects in underground facilities in the US, in Germany, and Poland. William Tompkins claims to have had access to top secret spy information acquired through his naval career during World War II. Tompkins says that his work was partly controlled by the naval personnel who used to work for James Forrestal, the first Secretary of Defense, who was allegedly assassinated because he was going to go public to reveal what he knew about UFOs in Antarctica, where a South Polar colony was said to have been established by a contingent of Germans that did not surrender with the rest of Germany in 1945. This renegade breakaway civilization was likely the true mission of Operation Hydra in 1946, to locate and terminate this final Nazi holding, which was unsuccessful for the Allies. In an interview given to Gaia TV at the age of 94, here's a brief excerpt from Will Tompkins giving his testimonial shortly before also passing away.
It's 42. It's 42. The war is on. Rick Lombardo is hiding. All over Germany. And they're staggered at what they found. Hundreds of different types of advanced weapons being built. These included 60-foot and 250-foot, 500-foot UFOs, round vehicles, okay, UFOs. They built some of these out of chromoly steel that would weigh tons and tons and tons. They had developed, or they had been given, electromagnetic anti-gravitational propulsion. They had all these UFOs, different types of propulsion that were unbelievable, laser weapon systems, unbelievable stuff. All over the country, areas, they had massive underground production facilities that they were using, that they had developed for regular arms waste, like tanks and places to build Navy ships and all this kind of stuff. Most of it was underground. So they started expanding those facilities. They put 11 of these UFO-shaped vehicles in production. So the operatives are trying to explain to us, and the animal would back off and say, slow down. The captains would say the same thing. The operatives were nice guys, and they knew they were going to get questions when they got back into the admiral's office. And they knew that nobody was going to believe what they said. And the ones, the only people with this information
So the coroner's office sends me down here to examine
by the operatives. Worst.
You got him. What? The sick bastard is taking what?
Extraterrestrial. So he was supposed to have a mental breakdown, so they took him to the hospital in Washington, the top floor, and pushed him over there. So that's the guy.
Help me! Help me! Looking! Help me! Goddamn!
That was the level of this information in the United States. So we had a young girl, Nordic, just outside of Germany. Some people talked to her, and they said, you are now involved in a new program, and you're going to have great support in this program. She had developed, I think she had 8 girls. They were continually taught telepathically to go and design spaceships. The little blonde actually built. Eventually, two of those got over here in Area 51. But Germany found out about the bomb, took her over, stopped everything, and then got to this point where there was some sort of pressurized program by the SS to control that original group. Now, several times they did work together, but Hitler allowed them to operate independently of the whole SS program, whole development. So we had two developments going on in Germany. The girls didn't want their vehicles to be used for anything else but travel. They were afraid that somebody would get a hold of it and they'd use it for military, which is, of course, what they got. But the girls finally ended up in Antarctica in large facilities, in fact, 3 massive caverns. Yeah. So there's cities manufacturing everything that you would need on the planet. 4 years before the war was over,
huh?
It was decided
what?
The war could possibly be lost.
Someone, please help me! It might have escaped your notice, but there are bad things going on.
The Earth, and there won't be anything here left. So they decided to do everything to Antarctica. And will burn. They're going down there, and they were going to take out the whole thing in 1 week. The top people in every area of the Navy, best aircraft, best ships, best weapons, everything. And 5 weeks later, things didn't look very good. When we got down there, they had decided they were going to have one of those areas for that firepower and house side going into both
So the coroner's office
center.
sends me down here to examine a body on ice. That's like a try. And when I get here, they tell me I don't have papers, that the morgue's been closed down.
Flying boats.
private company closed down
Ships.
What the hell?
What the? Whoa, that was gunshot.
These fairly large, they were 100-foot diameter saucers, came up out of the ocean and took down everything. Many of the close-ups give you a real clear picture of the close up. But we lost that war. All over Germany and the occupied countries, Germany was building this production of a dozen different types of concentration vehicles. Okay? So these are mass production, not just
Wait a minute.
mass production using slave labor with hundreds of this whole 80% of it have all been removed from Germany. 6 months before the war ended. And they've all been taken to Antarctica. They were generating construction right there. They have access to these with their submarines. They built massive truck submarines. Not motors. Submarines that the railroads
Well, Tompkins tested most that Mason far-fetched. The general narrative is plausible. Operation High Jones is still classified because it is possibly hiding some untold realities about World War II, how it ended, and the technologies that were developed at that time. At 94 years old, 1 year before his passing, it's unlikely that Tompkins was making up stories for fame and fortune, and his military credibility adds to the growing body of evidence that points to the possibility that free energy electromagnetic propulsion and gravitics exist, have been successfully developed, and that there are groups of Nordic-looking people that may have used this advanced technology to break away from the grip of the current political force that controls the planet. Another researcher that spoke out along these lines was Bulgarian-born Vladimir Terzhitsky. He would lecture about advanced technology and secret society until he suddenly vanished around the year 2000. Here's a brief clip of him and his take on the subterranean South Polar colony
Holy shit!
allegedly built by the Germans.
Hey, we need some help here. Please get some help.
The Germans were very deep into the occult, to the black magic, into all these things that the media would prefer not to talk about. A lot of this supposedly came up during the Nuremberg trial, and it all was stricken out of the record. The Germans were fascinated with the South Pole, and Hans Hupperich was an author and a philosopher that Hitler and all the other SS men and Nazi men were crazy about.
Hey!
Hupperich had this philosophy of the fire.
Hey, somebody want to help us out over here? Please, please, you gotta help.
The Illuminati philosophy of creating the Superman of the future. That only the fire and ice of the harsh polar conditions can toughen the steel character of the Superman of the future. And this is the second reason that they went after the South Pole. But the bigger reason lies deep into the German mythology about the lunacy. When Greenland was still not under ice, there was a tall, something race that lived there, and later moved to the inner of the earth, and still lives there, flying their saucers, much more advanced than their.
I'm calling for help.
They call them.
Hey, there's this guy doing stuff that's not allowed.
And SARS has been the secret dream of the Germans on the surface to find and to reunite with their more advanced Aryan brothers from the inner earth, according to German and secret SS mythology. And the moral of this was that they were losing the war in Germany, and ever since the United States entered the war, it became obvious to anybody who had some international support for education in Germany that they would lose the war. Every German plane produced and flown in the air, there was 5 allies. We have seldom been told these statistics that the Germans had less than, about 1/5 of the planes, probably the ratios of artillery and tanks and about of arms were not much different. I mean, they were
That's like a 2-hour drive.
Have the enough capacity to make and the Russians. I mean, they get the war here. Really bomb.
Oh, okay. I need a drink. Anybody
They
there?
couldn't reach anything of use of the Russians. Maybe not the very little of England and nothing of the United States. They were not.
Calling command. Do you copy? We have a man that needs to.
God damn!
Lose the European war in order to win the South Pole. This is the same, I think. Yeah. So in the late 30s, in 1936, the SS party did a four-year plan for the colonization of the South Pole. The 3 years plan. A very detailed plan. They were showing the areas without any snow. Without any snow. And we see the seal of the first German and Antarctic expedition. 1938-39. We see here quietly the of the show, right? The opening of the Tunis attack was under the authorship of the secret.
I really can't.
They decided on the South Pole. This is a letter of
South Pole expedition, and one may think, how come the aviation rights minister is interested in the South Pole expedition? Unless they're going to build something. Oh my God! The motor ship, the research ship Schwabenland was launching flying boats that were scouting the South Polar continent and staking their claim. They didn't even bother to land at all places. They would just drop flights with heavy poles. That was enough by international convention. And then they would register their claims to the International Court of Hague. And this is how, in 38-39, the Germans became the legal owners of a chunk of real estate probably as big as 30 euros. South Africa, on the South Pole. Here are members of the expedition staking the claim.
What? Hey.
Much later, late 40s, of the German colony, the noise from an altitude way above and beyond the altitude of the biggest atmospheric conference at the time, which was about 10-12 kilometers. It's an altitude of 60-70 kilometers, maybe 100 kilometers. Basically, the speculation is that this is a photograph of the German from that height. See that coastal ridge? Yeah. Close to the coastal ridge. How could the Germans do that? How could they move so much stuff to the South Pole? Simple logistics. And I have this question again. How can you do that if you are the Kriegsmarine chief of operations? It was so hard for us to go there in the 20s and 30s. Until a friend of mine told me with a U-boat boat and a student from the German research program that has helped tremendously in my research. He discovered that there were German transport submarines that could hold 5,000 tons, that were 5,000 deadweight tons, which is about 2.5 times as much as the standard Allied Liberty class submarine. The Germans had 2.5 times bigger submarines than the Allied submarines. These submarines were so huge they could carry bombs, cargo, they could carry personnel, they could carry armament, anything. They were building them in sections on assembly lines, in several dry docks, and incredible speed. After the war ended, it became clear that about 100 of these submarines continued to disappear. They would never stop on bombs.
Wow!
Huh?
Surrendered by their crew. They just disappeared in the air. Some of them resurfaced with skeleton crews of about 2,000 men in Argentina after they departed from Cuba with fully loaded, with hundreds of people on board. And little by little, the story emerged that the Germans had been cooking
hi.
something
Yeah,
big
hi, Doc.
on the top.
Yeah, I'm so sorry, but
I'm sorry. So,
Well, hey, mister. How's it going?
Rena came by the bar last night. Asking for Roberto.
Combined with our study of the German U-boat research and development, and Admiral Byrd's expeditions chasing somebody there in 46, 47, clearly show that a lot more is going to the South Pole than media, the illuminated media here is willing to admit the fact that I see here. What is that? Admiral Byrd went in 28, 27, 28. Then in the 30s, 56, 7. To Little America. Little America is south of, well, right on the German presence is in Neuschwaben, south of South Africa. Little America is on the opposite side of Neuschwaben.
Cut it out, will you?
Yes, because they have so many photographs there. In 46-47, which is the second South Pole of summer, the first summer after the warm winter of 45-46.
Hello?
They did not have enough time to prepare the
Marina came by
Japan in
the bar last night.
It was pretty fast. They probably had not investigated yet. The intelligence services have not realized the full amount of the German presence there. So, a year and several months later, in the next South Pole of summer, which is the winter for us of 46-47, Admiral Byrd put together an armada of 4,000 men, armed ships, submarines, armed Coast Guard icebreakers, armed supply ships. There were Russian and British contingents in that flotilla. Obviously, it was an Allied attempt. It was labeled a peaceful expedition for exploration of the South Pole, and we will see the shortened version of the film later on. However, in this peaceful expedition, we see the advancing American forces peacefully cross the white field of
no way.
That's you, Laszlo. Are you trying to scare me?
These are personnel carriers, another previous vehicle. It was a massive
Move out, people.
Admiral Byrd lost about 2 weeks, lost his plane, and retreated in disgrace, and made an unauthorized interview which probably cost him his career. In Argentina, on his way back, quite probably, refueling or reloading with supplies in an Argentinian port, he had the lack of political insight to make this politically incorrect interview, saying that I think the next World War will be with an adversary that comes from the polar region and that has the ability to fly unobstructed from pole to pole. There is something about them. Remember South Pole presence. And their ability to outfly anything the Americans want. Some planes were shot directly by the South. Others were hit by B-1.
I should call for help.
Know what
I know.
Marina.
Is that those bloody kids messing around again?
At the beginning of the war, not only that, but when in general supposed to smash all the bricks there, he said, no, General, we are missing the big point. We are not fighting, we are not in war with Aryans. We are not in the business of killing Aryans.
My name is Robert Sepper. I'm an anthropologist. My published work is available on Amazon, as well as various other major book outlets. As always, I look forward to reading your comments, so please leave me your thoughts below. Please have a wonderful weekend, and I hope to see you again soon.
What the?
That's like a 2-hour drive. You've got to be.
Hey! Go. Copy that. Put down the sidearm. You heard me?
Can anyone please help me?
We know that's down. Moving slow.
Taking casualties.
Took that off. Oh, really?
Having a private company close down a city morgue.
Oh, let me stop you right there. I'm sorry. I don't have time.
Marina came by the bar our last night. Asked.
What? Huh? What's happening? Should I be worried?